Welcome, everybody, to the REDX podcast. I'm Curtis Fenn, the host today. Got an amazing guest. He's been on the show before. Some of you are probably watching because you saw that he was coming back. Welcome, Deric Lipski.
Hey, good afternoon.
So Deric is all the way out in Boston and working out there. And we're excited to have you here. We're excited to talk about a few things that you are an expert in. And so welcome. For those of you who are joining us, whether you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube, you're watching in some of our Facebook groups or on our website, welcome. We appreciate you joining us. We promise that we're going to give you some value today. We wouldn't want you to be here if we didn't think that what we have to share would help you in your business, which is the point of the show. We go out and we find the experts in the industry. We bring them to you, share a little bit of, drop some wisdom, and hopefully you can take those things and implement them into your business right now. So if you're on the show, please, some regular viewers are already chiming in there. Amanda, hello. Bismarck Homes in Florida, thank you so much for being here. So if you could tell us where you're at, where you're listening from, that always lets us know that the tech at least is working and that you can hear us and audio and visual and everything is working. So make sure you pop it in there. The other thing for those of you who are viewing, be participants in the show. I've got the comments pulled up. I can't pull them up but we have most of them pulled up, and we also have a team that can queue me up if I'm missing some questions. But if you have questions for us, or if you have questions for Deric, make sure that you post those in there. Elliot, hello. Stephen, hello. Stephen, I know you, and man, it's been a long time with COVID. We haven't been able to run into each other at conferences, but thank you everybody for being here. Deric.
Yes, sir.
For those of you who may not know who you are and what you do, give us a short bio and tell us about your market and what's going on there and kind of what you specialize in.
Yeah, so I've been doing this 20 years in the business. Within the first 3 or 4 years of my business, I got involved with expired listings, got into training with Mike Ferry, Tony Robbins, Floyd Wickman, a few other guys got trained in how to call expired listings. With that training, coupled with the KW training and trial and error of my own, I managed to do a little over 700 deals on my belt, half of which were expired listings. So half my business comes from expired listings. I'm a daily caller. I'm what Curtis would call a heavy user, which from where I'm from, heavy user means something totally different. But in REDX, I'm a heavy user, means I'm a heavy caller. So I dial every day. I coach people on how to get better at what they do, but I'm one of those guys who I don't coach from a ivory tower. I'm in the trenches with you every day. So the stuff I teach you about is what I'm hearing about. We deal with COVID, the president, interest rates, Christmas, whatever that is. We deal with real stuff. So the stuff we talk about today are going to be real-time stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we like heavy users around here. So, and we hope to get into some of that. Last time you were on the show, we mostly focused our time on talking about prospecting and scripts and overcoming some objections and things. And you have so much more to share, and we're going to get into all that. I am asking somebody on the show is asking me to ask you, when is the next belt? So I'm not sure I know what that means, but you might know what that means. The next
belt.
So we'll leave the inside jokes for the people making comments.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about a little bit. What was your background with all of these different coaching organizations? What drove you to expires, or was why expires? It's not the easiest lead type to start with.
You know, it's funny. When I got involved in coaching, my first coach was like, most people like either expireds or for sale by owners. I hated for sale by owners. I thought they were just too cocky. I couldn't take. I hate arrogant people. So I like the expired listings myself because they were someone who identified themselves as someone who wants to sell. They just didn't have the right agent. So I could target them. And then once I understood the mindset of what they went through and what they're looking for, I can cater a presentation to that. And I can articulate exactly what they want in a listing presentation to get them to say yes at the right price, the right commission, and then again, market it and get it sold.
Right. Well, so I love that. And let's jump into that because I think you're talking about something that both I want to talk about, but I think is really important to being successful in working expires is understanding the mindset of an expired homeowner, what they went through, and talk to us about that a little bit. I mean, how do you get in their shoes to try to relate and cater the presentation to them?
Okay, so a lot of what I learned on how to do was for having my butt kicked in the actual market, trial and error, right? So I'd go on these presentations, I wouldn't get them, and I would hear key phrases they would keep saying, and I go, man, I got to come up with something like that, you know? So I learned to start catering my presentation and using keywords in that presentation because of their mindset. So listen, their mindset is this: their home didn't sell, they're upset. All their neighbors saw the sign and saw it go up and come down. So their neighbors, they feel like a loser. Like, oh man, you couldn't sell your house. Whether it was overpriced or you picked the wrong agent, or a combination of both, I don't know. They told their friends and family, like, we're going to Utah, and they're not going to Utah anymore, you know? So I think there's a lot of disappointment on there, you know, and I'm sure a lot of times if they have a wrong agent, even if they get an offer, if the offers go together, it's because their pride was too much to say, we're asking 450, it's only worth 400, this offer's 410, it's 40 below what my agent told me was worth, I'm not gonna accept that. 6 months later when they don't sell, they go, I should have took that offer, because now in a declining market it's 390. In a market like we're in today where the market's going up, it doesn't sell, it's probably still 410 if not 420. But the mindset of someone who goes through that is one of, you know, great disappointment, and I think a little bit of anger. So when we call these people, you know, one of the first things they say to us is, where were you when my home was on the market? Why didn't you show it? You know what I mean? So if you know these kind of key phrases, you can say, you're probably wondering why I called and where I was when the home was on the market. You know, so you can say these things before they bring them up and use them to your favor. Like on listing presentations, I used to always get, well, I can always rent it, right? So that's their like block for you if you're trying to list a house. But if you say, well, it's not the right price, you can always rent it, they go, I'm not gonna rent this. But if you say to them, you know, they'll say the opposite, but if they say it to you, it's like a block. So there's all these different techniques you learn as going through it to prepare to get them to go to the final yes. And it's a bunch of these small things after understanding the mindset that helps you as an agent articulate the right words at that presentation to get the yes.
So that mindset, I mean, it's just some words that you said. I mean, frustrated, disappointed, embarrassed, pride, their ego is, you know, you're messing with some pretty intense emotions with people sometimes after 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
And where you're at on the East, sometimes they're more blunt about those emotions when you get on the phone with them. Right.
Yeah.
So we're calling the other thing, Deric. I mean, you know, not more people are working expireds or calling expireds right now than when you first started a decade ago or longer. I mean,
you guys have made it easier. Everyone has access to it now. You know what I mean?
So, which is good and bad. I mean, how has that affected the call? I mean, even Barry is asking the question. You know, what do you say when somebody says you're the 87th person that called me right now? Yeah. And how does that mindset, when they're already frustrated, already disappointed, already embarrassed, now what?
So it's funny you said it, because that's exactly what they say. And again, what I talked about a minute ago is understanding what they're going to say and having a response for it. So you're the 87th guy who's already called. You're all saying the same thing. You know why we're all saying the same thing? It's because we're seeing the same thing. This is the home that should have sold. Why didn't your home sell? What, you know, and just get them off that to the question you want to ask them. You know what I mean? But again, it's having that skill set to be able to hear that, recognize it, have an answer, and continue to move through your line of questioning to determine either A, I want to go on this, or B, I don't want to work with this person. And there's a lot of them people you don't want to work with. Listen, no one wants to work with someone who's going to give you cancer at the end of the day. Like, I don't want to, some guy who's going to grind me on price, grind me on commission, grind me on everything, it is going to be a no-win for anybody. I've done this 20 years, and luckily I'm successful enough where I can turn down certain ones and go, I'm hearing what I know this guy's going to be a jerk, so I don't want to get involved with this guy. I'll just tell him my line, which is, you know what, I'll look for it to come on. If I have someone, I'll be happy to help you try to show it and sell it. Thank you for your time. Boom, right to the next one. Because I don't want to deal with some of those people. Yeah. You know?
But that initial response then, I mean, when you're saying that, let's go back just to the script of that so we can answer Barry's question.
Sure.
A little more directly. He's saying you're the 87th person. You're saying Yeah, we're all calling you for the same reason. We're wondering why this home didn't sell.
Yeah. Do you think it should have a pole sign in front of the front yard? Yeah, so do I. Let's find out what happened. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's doing your job, it's having curiosity, it's being genuine, and it's trying to get your job done. Look, I'm curious why the home didn't sell. I definitely want to list it. If you're halfway coherent, let's get together and take a look at it. I don't mind doing it because it's kind of my job. Let me come out and take a look at it and see if it's something I can get sold for you. You know?
Yeah.
Again, it's not that one line. You have to understand that when you make these calls,
Sure.
it's 15 or 20 of those lines compound until they go, all right, yeah, just come out here, let's take a look at it. You sound like you know what you're talking about. You know, until they've heard that line, you sound like you know exactly what you're talking about. I know.
That's what you're looking for.
That's what you want, right? Exactly.
So the mindset of an expired, I think that may have a little bit to, why are the homes expiring? Let's start there.
Yeah, it's I tell you what, 95% of the time it's price. It's an agent going in there, and I've lost I don't know how many listings in this market to people who you have a person who's going to sell a house, hasn't sold a house in 20 years. He has 5 agents. The one who's good tells him 425. The agent who just wants a listing says 610, and he goes, "I'm going with the highest dollar because I don't see a difference in value between you two because I haven't had my butt kicked 6 months in this market during COVID to even think I should do that." But 6 months from now, your mindset's changed, and that's what we're talking about. So a lot of times it's price. Sometimes it's condition. The inside is just a piece of crap. It's just nothing you can do without. And again, that's still a price issue because if it's a piece of crap, you reduce the price, it's going to sell. Location, it could be location, but again, price. If it's a bad location, just the price, it'll sell. And the only other issue could be is marketing services, which is the broker. Which again, if you're running a whisper campaign in this market, you know, you're not doing anybody a service.
What do you mean by a whisper campaign? What is that?
So I have these guys, when you call, sometimes people go, "My house is off the market, but it's, I'm just kind of taking a break. It's still for sale." And I go, "Okay, who knows about it?" "Well, the broker." And I go, "Oh, so you guys are doing a whisper campaign? Only he knows about it. No one else knows?" Yeah. Well, yeah. So I said, "You don't want to have multiple people come through there and give you offers?" "Well, we do, but we want to take a break." "Okay." And then, so that's just, I call it a whisper campaign, meaning no one really knows about it except for the homeowner and maybe the broker.
Right.
Yeah.
I like
and again, in that mindset, Curtis, they come up with these lies. They'll tell me stuff like, "I told the broker not to really push it." I go, "Not to push it. You put it in MLS. That's telling every broker who's got like a pit bull with a bone, this thing is for sale. Come out here and sell it." So I don't know how you can not push it if you drop it in MLS,
Well, and they're trying to save face a little bit, right?
Exactly. You can't make them wrong either. You can never make them wrong. You got to understand that. And just go, "I understand." Even if it's the stupidest thing in the world, you have to agree with it and say, "I get it. I understand why you do that," and then move on to the next question.
Right.
Don't linger.
So there's 4. You're saying these are the top 4 reasons the home expired in the first place?
Price,
condition,
condition, location, marketing services. Those are the 4 reasons why a home doesn't sell.
Okay. So what do you do differently than? I mean, again, prospecting expires is one thing, but selling an expired and getting the home sold is an entirely different thing.
Right.
And I think that's we get a lot of questions from customers about that. I think there's a tremendous amount of education on the prospecting to expireds.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do any good if you don't get the contract signed and then the property is sold.
The right price and the right commission.
Right. And last month you sold 13 properties.
Half of those are expired.
And half of those are expired. I saw your LinkedIn post, I don't know, a couple days ago where you're saying, "Hey, this sold 7 hours, in 7 hours.
Didn't hit MLS. It sold 7 hours. Yeah, I want the same thing.
So a couple of things about getting the expireds sold, not just getting them listed.
Correct.
Talk to me about that, because if it's marketing service, so I'm assuming those are the 4 things that you focus on talking to the expired about to when you list the home. But why are you able to list it and get it sold when the other person couldn't?
So I think a lot of that comes from is educating the seller into what's really happening in the market. We can't go by how someone feels or, what someone thinks and their opinion. And when I mean someone, I mean another broker or a friend or family member who tells you think your home is worth X when really it's worth, Y. We go by facts, and I try to educate people right from the beginning. And I don't BS people. Like, here's the price. Here's why your home didn't sell. Here's homes that are like yours in the same age, size, condition, and location. Here's what they're getting. Here's what we can expect. Unless you, and I would put it on them, unless you have other comps to prove your price. Do you? No. Good. Then we're going to use mine. And here's where we need to be at. This is why I need to sell. And they're going to say either screw, or they're going to say, let's get started, because you're the guy, you know?
Right. So I'm gonna go pretty basic here with some questions.
Yep.
Because we have some brand new agents on here that
Sure.
are trying to figure this out, and the questions they're asking, they may not be posting it in the comments, but I know that they're asking this. They're going, what are you doing to figure out and use data and facts to educate the customer? So do you have a process of, talk to me about even pricing it right, and how are you using the MLS to get the price right?
Okay, so this is something I teach my coaching students about how to price it right. So we use a couple of different methods. Number one is MLS. You have to use MLS. You got to look at the comps come in at. Number two, I look at a lot of times is price per square foot. That's another thing I look at based on what's been selling, what they've been selling per square foot. Number three, I look at sales price versus assessed price. How much more over assessed price in this town on average are these homes getting across the board? I will bring Zillow in if it helps me. If it doesn't, I don't bring it in. And then I have basically tell them what I think. So there's a couple of different sources there what I look at and go, all right, so what I'm looking, and this is my part of my accounting background, because before I did this, I was an accounting student and I graduated through an accounting degree. But I look for commonality. Okay, so if I know all the homes are selling 10,000 over assessed and you're assessed for 240, you're probably worth 250. If I know all the homes are selling at 120 per square foot and you're at 180 per square foot, well, now I know, and you're not new construction, now I know why you didn't sell. You're charging too much for what you have. And a lot of times when I do these equations, when I go by square foot, when I go by the MLS, and when I go by sales price or assessed price, those numbers will generally all come within 10 or 15,000 of each other when I map them out. And I go, look, this number says 260, this says 250, this says 240. Zillow has you at 262. So there's a reason that all four of these are within 1% or 2% of each other. That's where your price is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I use a lot of logic to go through that steps and teach people that. And once they see that and that method, we use that. Now, again, there's a couple different methods, and there's even more than that. If one of these methods is off skew and says 325, I don't bring it. I bring what's going to help me get the home sold. And I'm not trying to con anybody. I'm just trying to use the most information I have besides, here's what I feel. Here's some facts to look at that says this is what your home is worth. And here's what we need to price it at to get it sold. Yeah. And in the uprising market, maybe you can go 269 and look for offers for 260, but you can't go 329. It ain't going to work that way. You know?
Right. Well, there's this, we say in sales a lot, you sell with emotion, you close with logic.
Yeah.
And putting even putting your script together. I mean, all the conversation is, the emotion is what's your next level? Where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to move? Who are you trying to be around? And then the logic is, the price is, there's no more emotion in here. Here's the facts and the data. I think that's key for people to pick up on is let's leave the emotion out of the close. All of a sudden you are a team with the home seller together looking at, hey, this is the facts. Huh? It is what it is, Yeah.
And you always say
it's not your fault.
You always say, do you have any more facts? No? Okay, well, let's use what I have, because this is the latest stuff I could find, And no one ever has facts, you know what I mean? Besides, oh, Uncle Jimmy sold the house 4 years ago. Well, we can't use that 4 years ago. It's out.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So you get it priced right, and that's based. And again, price, if that's 95% of the battle.
Price is our biggest tool to sell. Our biggest tool to sell is price, hands down. Not marketing, not anything. Price is the biggest tool. You have to have it priced right, or nothing else matters.
So, but then second, because price is related to location and condition and everything else, you get it priced right. What do you generally, and if you have, a top three that you can pull off the top of your head, things that you tend to do differently to market the property differently than the previous agents that are having homes expire a lot?
Good question. So I pretty much always use a professional photographer, hands down. Number one, over the 20 years, I've taken a lot of ad writing courses. So when I write an ad, and again, we talk about that team effort, me and the seller. I go, hey, listen, this is exactly what I say. Listen, you guys know more about this house than I do. Tell me what you think the benefits of this property, the next buyer is going to like, and give me a bullet list. So when I come through here and take notes, I'm going to have your list and my list. I'm going to try to put them together for an ad that sells, because you know more than me about this house. You know that the kids get picked up right here on the bus, or that they block off this neighborhood on the July and have a train come by and pick up the kids as a block party. So I can use that as ammo in this listing to try to create something that's going to make people stop their pen and go, wait, what's this? So I know every good ad has a hook line. What's a hook line? The first sentence that grabs your attention. Then we talk about the body of the ad. It's going to have a couple of bullets of what it is. And we don't just say ceramic tile, central air, must last, must see, won't last. That's the old ad from the 80s, right? We talk about the benefits of the home, stuff you're going to like, and then we have a nice close, right? 5 minutes from the train, 2 minutes from shopping, 1 showing away from being yours. You know what I mean? Won't leave the wallet empty at $6.99. Whatever those closes are at the end. That accompanied with all the correct information on the house, all the right photos, is going to create a better ad. And let me tell you something. If your ad sucks in MLS, it's going to suck across the whole network, because everyone pulls from MLS. So it has to be the best here so it can be the best everywhere. So number one, I have an ad class. Some of the tips that I use a professional photographer. I always do coming soon. So if you see you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, I always have coming soon ads where I'll put something, this is coming out soon. I'll build a list of buyers so that when I get the house up and ready, I'm going to contact those first 5 or 6 people and get them in there first. If I can double end it, that's better for everybody. So those are some things I do differently. I use a lot of social media.
I want to, the professional photography is kind of a pet peeve of mine. So I won't get on too much of a soapbox here, but it's crazy to me when somebody's trying to sell a home and the photos suck and there's 6 of them.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it's crazy to me. And we see that, we've seen that for all 18 years we've been looking at this. Besides price and just to validate what Deric's saying, we've seen this for years. That price, number one, number two, it's these marketing, and people won't even have a description sometimes.
Right.
Or the description is essentially repeating the data that's already there in the MLS. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Like they can see that. That's in there. The description is meant to do this, and the photos are what sell, especially right now. How important are photos right now when somebody can't just always pop by the property, or go drive around for 6 days with an agent showing 100 different properties. Photos matter now more than ever.
And video. I mean, everyone's doing these virtual tours where you can just do your camera phone. You can walk through the whole house. You can upload it to YouTube and just attach it to MLS. So now you got a video tour. You can hire a professional person to do it as well. But if you just want to get one in so you can get it started because of COVID, it helps. People are excited about that. Right.
And man, iPhones have come a long way, haven't they? The cameras, you can take wide angle, get the whole capture, the whole room. You can do amazing things. I think I just add to the advice for people who are listening, like upload as many photos. You can't have too many photos, and think about who are the people online spending their time clicking through all those photos. You can't have too many. And so more is better. The ad is a really interesting thing. And I just want to make sure people are catching that. One, you can teach people how to do this. I'm trying to pull some free stuff for them out of this. So the ad is about the benefits the home provides, not just listing the features.
Right.
I think that's sales and marketing 101 is benefits. People buy benefits, not the feature. So of what it provides, you go through the benefits. I'm just trying to get your ad, your description outline. You go through the benefits. You're trying to incorporate, the seller and what you're doing because you know what sells.
Right.
So benefits and then a close.
Correct.
And the close is typically what, give us some advice on how to write a good close or pick the right close for a property.
Let me see if I got let me see if I have one really quick. I might have an actual ad where I wrote here because I had to print something out the other day. Let me see if I do. Typically, when I write an ad, I take my time really with it, and I try to focus in on, like you say, what the I don't, but I try to focus in on what I think the benefits are of the property. It's one thing to say it. It's got a farmer's porch, it's got central air, it's got a finished basement. It's nothing to paint a picture of that, like dine al fresco on your backyard with panoramic views of your back fenced in oversized backyard lot. So you want to talk. So a lot of times I'll get ad books from Amazon, and sometimes I'll actually look at car books or different things and just look for cool ad words that they use and go, wow, I could use that. Like, that's a kind of cool word. Like, I like that. You know what I mean? Dine al fresco was something I saw at a restaurant magazine. I was like, oh, I could write that in one of my things about being on your back deck and dining al fresco. You know what I mean? Just cool words that kind of paint a picture. Because in our MLS, we're only allowed 1,000 characters, so it's one paragraph, and you got to put as much content in that thing, and you can't abbreviate. People don't like abbreviations, so you want to get everything in there you can, which is going to paint a picture of what you'd enjoy. Sit back and sip lemonade on the front porch as you watch kids play. I don't know. Everyone's different. Every house is different, so I try to gear an ad towards that as much as I can.
Well, and from, again, the marketing, when you got your accounting degree, you didn't know that you were going to be a master marketer, right?
Right.
But from a marketing standpoint, everything in marketing is trying to show someone what the future version of themselves is going to look like if they buy your product. If your product is a house that you're selling, you're trying to give them a view. You're trying to paint that picture of what their life could be like, and you're trying to do it in a way that is easy for them to see, so that there's interest there. I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Let's talk about what's current. So now, as we're approaching September, you'll see a lot of the ads that I write will have, like, if it's in a cul-de-sac, perfect trick-or-treat neighborhood, right? Because we're trying to paint the picture of what this neighborhood's like during Halloween, you know what I mean? Or as you approach Thanksgiving and Christmas, Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner next to the fireplace. These are some of the key things you use at different parts of the thing. In summertime, look, the backyard, the pool's open, so we'll talk about some stuff there that's going to attract people for that time frame. So again, it's definitely trying to get people, like you said, into future pacing, and it's also seasonal based on what's happening now.
Seasonal and timely.
And what you said, Curtis, for photos, you'd be surprised how many times I'll take a listing that expired in June. It was only on the market for 2 months in January, February, and it's full of snow. And I'll call and say, hey, did you guys have a snowstorm yesterday? Like, why is this photo like 5 feet of snow? They never changed the pictures. So if you have a listing that's on the market and there's a season change and it hasn't sold yet, which is kind of probably crazy in this market because everything's selling so fast.
Right.
But in the markets where it was slower, I would go back out and take photos again of seasonal. I keep my house so it doesn't look like it's been stale, sitting there forever.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I love that advice. That's amazing. So just to throw it in, because, again, timely, how are you using pandemic and COVID in the marketing of properties, or even in your scripts and going after expireds? Is the current condition of COVID pandemic something that you've brought into your marketing?
Yeah, I mean, you have to sort of a contact-free, listing where, the homeowner's not home, the buyers and the agents are wearing masks, and we're to the point where there's an offer. It's all e-signatures, so you don't have to touch anything. Closings are all done virtual now. So we're trying to paint a picture of keeping them healthy without being exposed to problems,
Yeah.
So that's sort of the language you talk about. But again, we can talk all we want about what we can do. This stuff only works on motivated people. If someone doesn't care if the home sells or not, they don't really care. They don't care. So this is only going to work. So I don't want people to think they can just make the first 50 calls and they're going to get 50 listing appointments. It only works on motivated people. No matter how good I am, my scripts and dialogues only work on motivated people.
Okay, so I mean, we're going back to the beginning of some of the prospecting, but how do you find the motivation?
Yeah, so part of that is just going to be those first few questions you ask. Why, your home didn't sell. Why do you think it didn't sell? Where were you planning to move next? Why was that important to get there? What was happening in Pensacola that made you want to go down that way? Oh, you're retiring. So now, you got a grandchild being born. So now I got some strings I can pull later on in the conversation when I go to do the final close. You know what I mean? So again, it's what you said. It's all about motivation and where the destination is, where they're going next. you know, you hear a lot of people going, I sold my home, but I couldn't find a place to go. And that's something that we're all dealing with. So part of that conversation is they don't want to put it back on because it sold last time. And they're not disappointed with their agent because he did get the home sold. They just couldn't find anywhere to go. So that person's one of the people that you keep in the background, and you ask them questions like, well, what are you looking for? You know, and then so if you come across a listing that's in that thing, you call them first, and maybe A, get the listing and the sale, or B, they bring their agent and you sell that one and you sell them this one. So, you know, I have a list of people that are like, tell me what they're looking for. If I come across a property, they're going to be one of the first people I contact.
Well, and it gives you a different script to call the expired too. If you have a potential buyer for that specific property,
yeah,
you know, that's a pretty great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when somebody's saying, well, where were you when it was listed for 6 months? Well, I didn't have a buyer, but now I do. So,
right.
You know, when can we get together?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a great idea. Let's let me try to. And there's a lot of questions going on, Deric, and why don't we hit some of those questions? Let's see. So I think we've answered some of these. So we could, you know, if there's nothing new, we can move on. I just want to make sure that they know we're watching here. How do you get a seller? Any other advice? I think the question is, any other advice besides just the facts that you bring to help the home seller understand that the price was too high? That is the reason. Because again, going back to mindset, a lot of them think it was 100% the agent's fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't their price. So besides just the facts of doing that, you know, how do you get any other advice in getting them to understand?
The number one fact that they can't look past, no matter how much they want to, is A, their home didn't sell in the hottest market we've had in the last 15 years. This is the hottest market we've had since 2006. Everything is selling. If your home doesn't sell in this, something's wrong. All right. And again, it's condition, location, or price, you know, or the marketing. But even the marketing, even if your agent sucks, but he gets it in MLS, there's going to be someone who's searching for a home between 400 and 500 in this town that goes, let's look at it anyways. You're going to have those aggressive guys who will look because no one can find anything. So that hands down alone, that fact that it didn't sell should tell them 100% that, and again, we're talking about reasonable people. Some people aren't reasonable. They just won't. They believe. I had a guy the other day goes, listen, my home didn't sell, not because of price, because it's a historic Greek revival home. It's built in 1800. I go, okay, you want 500,000 for a Greek revival home that needs, you told me alone needs 150,000 worth of work. But me as a buyer, I can buy a brand new construction up the street on a cul-de-sac for 500,000. Why would I buy yours? It's a Greek revival. I know, but who wants to spend 200 grand on a house that I'm paying 500 grand for? It doesn't make sense. So you are going to get those people. You never can help them. You never can help them. So, but the people that are motivated will get this and they'll understand it.
Awesome.
If you're genuine, you have to be genuine. You can't be so desperate for the sale that they smell your commission breath. You know, you have to, you know, be able to talk to them and not be attached to the outcome if you get it or not. You know, just like, hey, I'm just going to give you the truth. I'm going to do what I do that's best for me, and that's to tell you the truth. If you want to move on, let's do it. If you don't, that's okay too.
Well, I think you have this when you're going after the second time around, you have a unique opportunity to be more authentic. I think it's easier to be authentic because now you can come in there and say, I'm only going to tell you the truth. I want to tell you the truth. And I think they appreciate that more. They're ready to hear some hard things.
Yeah.
Because they might feel like the previous agent didn't do that.
Exactly.
You know, I think you're in a unique position there. So thank you for that. Elliot is asking, do you ever utilize an appraiser before listing for the sale?
I haven't, but I know people that have. Yes.
Okay.
And that's the reason you would use that is because you and the seller just can't agree upon price. You know what it is. They're stuck on their price. So a segue to get the listing together is say, hey, I'll tell you what, let's get an appraiser in here. Let's list it whatever they say that the highest amount the bank will loan, and let's go from there. So sometimes if an agent is weak on price and can't get it the right price, well, the sellers is so tough, but you feel the motivation's there, like they're going through a divorce or they have to move the job. It's something that makes them have to sell. Then maybe you do that to you know, ease them up a little bit. And then to say if it doesn't sell in the next first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we got to talk about a schedule of price reductions.
Okay. That's awesome. Elliot, I hope that was pretty good. a lot of thank yous and comments about the ad description. So we'll give you a chance to tell people where they can get more information on that after.
Sure.
But I know in us talking, Deric, that you have some advice that you want to give to people, and I want to make sure that we have time to chat about all those things. And so why don't I just kind of give you the mic, and I might interject with some more questions, but I know you've prepared some things to share.
Yeah, so I wanted to give you guys, one of the things I do on these podcasts is people always ask me, what are your top 10 tips? What are your things that you do every day to get yourself the level where you're at? You know what I mean? Because I've come a far away from where I came from originally, I put a list of the top 10 things that I do. Now, I will tell you guys this before the first line of this turns you off. I'm not Joel Osteen. This isn't about church or anything like that, but God's in my life. I talk about him a lot. If you ask me how many times I went to church last year before COVID hit, 0, right? I didn't go to, but I teach Sunday school for the kids at Sunday school. I talk to God every day. I have a friendship with him, bond. But I talk about my mindset and having faith and going forward with some of these things. So I'm going to talk to you guys about it here. So number 1 of the 10 lists is put God first in everything you do. Everything you think you see in me, everything you think I have accomplished, everything you think I have, and I have a few things, everything I have is by the grace of God. It's a gift. So I put him first in what I do. I've kept God first in my life, and it's kept me humble. I don't always stick with him, but he's always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then what I've done. And stick with God. All right? That's 1. Number 2, fail big. Fail big. Do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. Dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams. They ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals, life goals, health goals, money goals, daily goals. These goals, when you're trying to get these goals, in order to achieve them, you need discipline and consistency, right? Those are a big thing for us with our phone calls. You got to call every day, not just on Tuesday or Wednesday. Discipline and consistency in order to achieve those goals. You must do it every day and understand that you have to work for it. Hard work works. Working really hard at something is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world we've grown up in, just remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. I'll say that again. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress, right? Because you can run in place all day and get nowhere, right? When you're on these phone calls, be passionate. Don't just make calls to make calls. Be there. Show up. Number 3, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I don't care how much money you make, you can't take it with you. And it's not about how much money you make, it's what you do with what you make. You have to make a difference. The most selfish thing that you guys can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because of the gratification you get. Listen, when I made those videos on YouTube, this is the reason I'm here today with Curtis, right? I created those videos because I learned something. I learned how to make phone calls, and I learned how to do it in a way that was never taught by anybody on YouTube by anybody else. Now everyone's trying to do it. But when I did it 10, 20 years ago, whatever it was, no one was doing it. And it was hard to find training, right? And the guys who, I won't mention the companies that trained me, but they trained one way. I didn't learn how to do it right until I started role playing and getting my butt kicked and being trial and error. That really got it going. Number 4, be grateful every day for everything you have. Your car, your house, your health, your family, your food, electricity, cable, technology, education, your drive, curiosity, wit, that X factor that makes you you, your senses, your ability to work, the cash you have in the bank, sellers and buyers, your success, your failures. You got to say thank you in advance of the things you guys want. A lot of people don't get this. This is a big part of it. Every day, thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for peace. Thank you for humility. Thank you for prospects. You want to say thank you in advance. And how you know that's there is when you want something, the thing you want in your heart. A lot of people want to do something. Some people want to be realtors. Some people want to be appraisers in this real estate business, mortgage brokers, and other people on other lines might be watching this. Not everyone who's in real estate who's watching this podcast. Some people are just in sales. True desire in your heart, that's God's proof to you set beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. That itch, that drive that you want to be, that's God telling you he put that seed in you because that's what he wants you to do. Anything you want good in this world can be yours. You have to work hard at it to get it. Okay. Number 5, almost halfway through there. Make room for your abundance, right? So if you're doing these things every day, you need to make room for your abundance. You can't hang on to your old life if you want a new life. Think of it this way. If you guys are going into a supermarket, you have that first set of doors, you go in that little hallway and have a second set of doors. Those second set of doors don't open till the first set of doors close. You have to let go of the old stuff to make room for the new stuff. So if you're asking in life for more business, more money, more different things, more opportunity, you have to let go of what you had before that might be holding you back. I'll tell you guys a quick story about, I heard about a guy who wanted a car. So he was probably 22 and he had this old car in his backyard that was on blocks, right? And he tried to fix it. He tinkered with it all the time. He couldn't get this thing to work. So every week on Friday, get paid. He started telling his mother every Friday, "Oh, Mama, next week I'm getting paid. I'm going to get a car." She said, "I know you're going to get a car, baby, but you got one in the backyard." Next week on Friday, "Mama, I got paid. I'm going to get a car. I know you're going to get a car, baby, but you got one in the backyard." 2, 3, 4 weeks of this kept happening. This guy said he got frustrated because his parents were never clear to him. They always would say this weird stuff to him, like chaotic stuff, because they wanted him to think instead of just giving him the answer. So eventually he went there and said, "Mama, why do you always say these negative things? I'm trying to bring positivity. I'm going to get a new car." She said, "Baby, you can't get anything until you get rid of that old car." So the following week he went out. He took the car off. He cut his buddy who tows cars, said, "Take it off the blocks, take it out. He has $20. He cleaned up the space, got it all set up. The driveway looked almost brand new. 2 weeks later, he got his new car, but he had to get rid of that old one to get into that new one, So sometimes you have to let go of old friends, old habits, old conditions before you can move to the next one. Number 6, this is an important one, okay? Listen to his voice. This is God's voice. God talks to us through our conscience. It's not audible. You don't hear him. I don't hear him talk to me, but I feel it inside when he says, "Turn around," right? Someone's broke down the side of the road. Pull over, help that person. Again, these are tougher and COVID rules, but still, they still apply, right? Stop. Put after you're done shopping, put the carriage in the carriage corral. Don't leave it there. These small things you hear that you think are your conscience is God talking to you, telling you to do this stuff to be better at what you are. You know what? I've had situations where I've been somewhere and I just helped someone. I'm not going to get into all of them, but and again, I'm not saying this to anybody to get praise from you guys, but if you're out somewhere and you have the ability to help someone, say there's a lady in front of you and she's buying food stamps, and you can see she's putting stuff back because her stamps don't have enough money to afford that, and you have the ability to give $10, $20, $30 and cover that, that's God telling you to do that, man. Hey, you don't know where I came from. That stuff happened to me when I was young. I grew up with my mother. We went through stuff like that. It was very difficult to be poor and to see someone struggle and someone has pride. Help them with that. I once saw a lady walking in the snow with her daughter who was 5 years old. It was the middle of winter out here, probably December or January. We just had a blizzard, so the sidewalks weren't plowed. She was walking in the street with her daughter. It was freezing out. I pulled over as a man and wasn't expecting her to say yes, but I said, "Can I offer you a ride? I don't know you, but I know this is no way for a mother and daughter to be walking out here." And they said, "Okay," surprisingly. And I drove them probably a mile to their house and let them off. And they didn't ask for anything. I just felt that thing to say, "I need to help you," because when I was growing up, we didn't have a car. And it was very difficult indeed to see that. So when you can help someone else, and don't cheat, man. Don't cheat people. Don't steal from people. Don't try to always win. Listen, if you do the right thing will happen. We talked about that a minute ago with commission breath. If you don't get the deal, you don't get the deal. Don't try to force things or cheat people. I know you want a deal, but do it the right way. Don't just aspire in this business to make a living. Aspire to make a difference, right? Number 7, control the weeds. This is something I talked about on Facebook Live the other day. Weeds grow out weeds grow without any help. They grow in cracks, they grow in dirt, they grow in sidewalks, they grow in gutters. I mean, they need nothing to grow, right? They grow in your garden. Weeds need no nutrients. But if you want a flower or a vegetable to grow, you need to prep the soil and add fertilizer and add water and turn the soil. Your mind is the same way. You don't have to force yourself to go to the negative. Your brain is always on autopilot. It takes a lot of positive thinking to work against the negative, especially this COVID. Look, when COVID hit, I had 9 deals in the pipe. Every one of them died. You know what that hurt? That hurt because we're coming from a winter into COVID time, and it was business is already low. It hurt. I had to get on my mindset and start working on my positivity, regardless of what was happening, and that turned around quickly. You know, everyone's always, and be patient what you ask for, right? We ask for things for God all the time. We want this, we want to be rich, we want to win the lottery. I know you guys, everybody wants everything. Things happen the way they're supposed to happen, the time supposed to happen. Curtis, how many kids do you have, Curtis?
6.
Okay, I have 4. Look, you'll appreciate this as a dad. My oldest son is 16. I just bought a new Raptor. If I gave him the keys to the Raptor today and said, go to your friend's house or go to the store and pick me up something that we need for dinner tonight, that's a blessing. He can do that. But 10 years ago when he was 6, if I gave my same son, my same truck, my same keys to him and said, go get me that stuff, it wouldn't be a blessing. It'd probably be a nightmare, right? Because he would probably crash. So God holds things back from us for a certain reason. And I think we as parents understand that because we do the same thing for our kids. I wouldn't give him that. I know he's not ready for that. I would love to give him that. He would love to have that. But I withhold things from him because I know it's not the time for it yet. Number 8, show up ready. Haircut. You need to be groomed. Nice clothes. Wash car. Nice business cards. Be clear and concise when you talk. Be prepared, on time. Be generous with your conversation. Let people talk. Listen to them. Shiny shoes, or clean sneakers. You know, in this heat, we're all wearing sneakers and t-shirts. But just show up prepared. Smell good. Have the appearance of someone who's not a scrub. 9, be healthy. Take care of yourself. None of this matters if number 9 is not done. Get up early. Work out. Meditate. Cold showers, listen to something that touches to you, money affirmations, motivational stuff, eat right, intermediate fasting, try your best. And the last one, number 10, prayer works. Okay, when in doubt, pray. Don't forget to pray. Don't be ashamed to pray. Don't be too proud to pray. I don't care how dark it looks to you. I don't care what the haters are saying. I don't care what the verdict is. Prayer changes things. Okay, I grew up on a block. It didn't breed success, man. A lot of people on my block aren't here anymore. I grew up in a very bad part of town, and I was told when I was small I would never be nothing. And as a poor kid with ripped pants and shoes, and we didn't have heat half the winters. It hit me, man. But prayer changes the things. Prayer is the one thing that's available to anybody at any given time. God is never too busy for you. God knows who you are. God created you to converse with him. Do you know God would love to hear from you? You are not going to make it without God. You can't do it without him. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't be here. I tell him I need help all the time. God gives you more than you ask for. He has this thing he hands out called grace. Passes it out. He gives things you don't deserve. I don't deserve to be here today. I don't deserve this life. I'm halfway to where I need to be. The money I make, where I live, what I drive, how I travel, where I vacation, I don't deserve it, but I work hard for what I have. But he gave me grace. He let me survive homelessness, poverty, getting in a lot of trouble when I was younger. He brought me from dark, man. You guys don't even know, man. I've been in it, man. I've been in it. And, I said, to get me through this, I'm going to tell everyone that it was you that helped me get out of here. And you see today as a boy who believed, even when people told him he wasn't going to make it, that it would get better. I tell my kids, and one of the last things I talk about is in my CCD class, I think people think you have to go to church every week to talk to God, and you have to confess. You know, one of the first things I teach in CCD the first class is, do you think God speaks Spanish? Do you think he speaks Chinese? Do you think he speaks Russian? Do you think he'll understand you if you talk to him? You know, he will. He's a friend. Ask him for help. Don't put a time limit on it, and just have the faith that stuff will change in your life. These are some of the rules that I apply to my life. And I'm not saying they're all easy, but they can all be done today with minimum effort. And if you guys apply some of these things to you and have faith and act with more character, you'll get better results. That's it.
Thank you, Deric.
Yeah.
I think it's good to hear a message of abundance and hope, especially amongst a pandemic and COVID and everything going on. We know that there's a lot of people out there struggling in their businesses. And sometimes right now it's not even a fault of their own. They didn't get enough foothold on the marketplace, and there's just no inventory, right? They're just, they're out hustling and they're doing that. So it's good. I think the message to hang in there and to keep going, and that on the other side of struggle, the other side of a bad economy is abundance and success and everything, all the reasons you got into the business in the first place. So Deric, thank you for sharing some of that personal insight and beliefs, and also for all of the nuggets of working the expired listings. So I think for those of you who are listening, to continue the conversation, it happens in two places. It happens on our forum.theredx.com, and it happens on Facebook, on the Elite Prospecting Group on Facebook. And also, Deric, how can people find you, or some of the ad stuff that you mentioned? You have a little course on ad. I mean, where can they find you?
Yeah, so obviously they can find me at any time on Facebook. It's easy to find me there. If you guys want to know about the coaching we provide, there's a site called Expired Listing Mastery you can go to. I created a course for beginners. If you guys are beginners, a lot of these courses, they want to charge $1,000, $2,000 to $3,000. I pay that a lot of times myself for coaching programs. What I've done is I designed a program that's 12 weeks. It's for a beginner agent. It's $300, and I give you everything I've learned on expireds, on not only how to call them, what to say when I dial, what numbers I dial, what I do when I'm at the listing presentation, what kind of facts do I use to get the right price, what facts do I use to get the right commission, and then how do I close that deal. Those nuggets are all on there, and again, it's $300. It's cheap. You guys enjoy it.
So the team has already posted the link to that in the comments. So for the viewers, if you want to check that out, it's there. Deric, thank you so much for the time today. It's always a pleasure. We were talking before the show that it's been going on 10 years since Deric's visited out this part of the country. So hopefully COVID, things will settle down. We'll be able to get you out to the offices and catch up here. For those of you viewing, thank you so much. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1:30 Mountain Time. So we hope to see you here on Friday at 1:30. And for everybody else, thank you. Thank you for the team on the back end that makes this happen and produces it. Make sure you can hear us and see us. So big shout out to the team on doing all the work on the behind the scenes for the show. And that's a wrap. Thanks so much. We'll see you on Friday.